Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal Part 229 to 230 based on novel. So let's start. With Qing Shui's inheritance, Wang Lin understood that among Celestial Emperor by Fan's spells, Call the Wind, Summon the Rain, and Magic Arsenal was the strongest. Even Qing Shui favored Magic Arsenal a lot. It was one of the spells that made him famous in the celestial realm. Wang Lin had high expectations for this spell as well. He took a deep breath and closed his eyes. After clearly comprehending the inheritance of Magic Arsenal he got from Qing Shui, he suddenly opened his eyes and the celestial origin energy core in his body began to rotate. As it rotated, a large amount of celestial origin energy cycled through his body. His origin energy began to slowly hide itself until only that dense celestial origin energy was moving through his body. The current Wang Lin gave off a large amount of celestial origin energy. He had the aura of a celestial, and it was as if he was an actual celestial. The big-headed boy carefully observed this and sighed. He had always wondered why this Shu Mu had celestial origin energy when he clearly remembered that Shu Mu had never gone into the celestial pool. However, he didn't dare to ask about this doubt. Looking at Wang Lin filled with celestial origin energy, he bitterly smiled. He had to give up his domain for this celestial origin, but Shu Mu had both domain and celestial origin energy. As Wang Lin's celestial origin energy cycled, he began forming the hand seals he obtained from Qing Shui's inheritance that were unique to Magic Arsenal. Magic Arsenal required you to open the reincarnation cycle and extract the soul fragments of the ones you killed. Then you must form your own mysterious space to fuse these soul fragments in. Only then can Magic Arsenal form. The power of this spell varies from person to person. For example, when Bai Fan used Magic Arsenal, it would cover the sky, and very few people could block it. Then there was Qing Shui, whose Magic Arsenal was filled with slaughter that would make people yield before fighting. As his hand formed seals, the celestial origin energy in his body suddenly rushed into the seals through his arms. It was as the world was changing colors while strands of celestial origin energy intersected before him and began to slowly rotate. At the start, the rotation wasn't fast, but as the celestial origin core inside Wang Lin rotated faster, the vortex eventually looked like a tornado. As the vortex roared, it began to expand. In the blink of an eye, a vortex dozens of feet tall appeared before Wang Lin. It rotated so fast that it looked like it wasn't rotating at all. However, in reality, the rotation of the vortex had reached its peak. If it was before Wang Lin obtained the celestial origin energy from the 17th layer of the immortal graveyard, his celestial core would have ran out and collapsed before the vortex could even form. Even after absorbing all that celestial origin energy and his celestial core had become the size of a baby's first, Wang Lin could feel his celestial origin energy rapidly depleting. He knew he couldn't maintain the vortex for more than 3 days. Wang Lin knew that this vortex was a self-created reincarnation cycle formed by the celestial origin energy. In reality, it was a spell that focused on your memories. To be immersed in your own memories and pull out the soul fragments of all the people you killed. Although they were only memories, they were extremely real when this spell was used. The soul fragments that were extracted even retained some of their cultivation. As a result, they could be used in Magic Arsenal. The longer he drew this out, the more celestial origin energy he would lose. If he wasn't successful after 3 days, then this celestial origin energy would run out and the vortex would collapse. The instant the vortex opened, Wang Lin's ancient Thunder Dragon origin soul flew out from between his eyebrows and went into the vortex. The vortex continued to shrink until it was imprinted between Wang Lin's eyebrows. The surroundings were completely silent. Wang Lin's ancient Thunder Dragon origin soul moved through a tunnel of time. He gradually changed until he was in human form. In an instant, the tunnel ended, and when he charged out, the sun blinded his eyes. Wang Lin looked down and saw the Hangyu sect on planet Suzaku. He saw 2 youths. One was covered in sweat, using the attraction spell. On the side, the person being controlled by the attraction spell was a young man holding a dagger. The dagger was pointed at another youth. The youth raised the axe and mercilessly slashed down on the young man's head. A miserable scream echoed. Wang Lin clearly saw a soul fragment fly out and enter his own origin soul. This person wasn't killed by me. Why? As Wang Lin pondered, he felt a powerful force pulling his origin soul. In the blink of an eye, his vision blurred and he was now on a road. Before him was a black-robed teen fighting against a middle-aged man. Shortly after, the middle-aged man died. Beside the middle-aged man was a gloomy youth who said, "He is the disciple of old man Jimo. We must quickly leave." The soul fragment of the middle-aged man that died flew out and entered Wang Lin's origin soul. The scene changed once more. This time it was a cave in the forest. He devoured Teng Li's foundation, then Teng Li's soul fragment flew out and entered Wang Lin. Scene by scene passed by from the country of Zhao to the corpse sect. Then to Juming Valley, the foreign battlefield, Hu Fen, and then the Sea of Devils with the Dragon Tendon and the 100-day 10,000 Devil Kill Order. Then he returned to Zhao, where he slaughtered the Teng family. The battle with Shui Yu, the Rain Celestial Realm, and followed by him killing the ancestor of the country of Shui Yu, won, and the giant demon clan ancestor. After that was the battle between the Forsaken Immortal clan and the country of Suzaku and what happened in the Suzaku tomb. Everything replayed as if Wang Lin was reliving his life. The Tianyun sect, the Demon Spirit Land, the Celestial Slaughter Art, the All-Heaven Star System, the Huan family ancestor, the Thunder Celestial Realm, killing Blood Ancestor, the inside of the Nether Beast, killing the Celestial, slaughtering the Yarrow family members in the Western Domain, and everything until the Celestial title competition where he obtained rank 1 in one line to heaven. In the end, his memories stopped. Wang Lin was startled. He felt as if a powerful force had grabbed him and kept dragging him up. Then he suddenly opened his eyes. He was soaked in sweat and the mountain was still before him. The moment he awakened, the vortex between his eyebrows stopped rotating and turned back into strands of celestial origin energy that returned into his body. The celestial origin, the size of a baby's first, had shrunken by nearly 60%. His life of slaughter had flashed by. When Wang Lin went through his life again, he felt regret. Even now, he was unclear if he had awakened from his dream. What a powerful celestial spell! Wang Lin let out a big breath. Celestial Emperor by Fan's celestial spell was formed from the fusion of many spells. The essence of these spells were extracted to form a new celestial spell. However, in order to learn the spell, Wang Lin had to experience the process. Wang Lin pondered for a while. He had already made a decision for the second part of Magic Arsenal. After recalling it to make sure there was no problem, the Underworld River appeared above Wang Lin. The Underworld River spread out and the resentful aura filled the world. However, under Wang Lin's control, the two ends connected to form a circle. At that instant, an aura that surged into the sky appeared. Wang Lin looked at the Underworld River and spat out an object. It was the celestial sealing stamp. The moment it appeared, it floated into the air. It fused with the Underworld River. The hundreds of thousands of golden runes appeared and fused with the Underworld River. The Underworld River began to churn as if it was boiling, and a shocking change occurred as the golden runes fused with it. The entire Underworld River swept across the world while carrying hundreds of thousands of seals and finally fused with the celestial sealing stamp completely. A powerful pressure suddenly surrounded the abandoned planet Wang Lin was on. This pressure came from the celestial sealing stamp. The appearance of the celestial sealing stamp had changed. It was no longer golden but pitch black. However, an extremely powerful aura was spreading out from this darkness. It was as if there were countless resentful spirits roaring and struggling inside to escape. What was even more shocking was that several rings had appeared on the celestial sealing stamp and separated it into 18 layers. Each layer gave off a dense resentful aura and flashes of gloomy sealing light. The deeper the layer, the stronger the resentful aura. This was his personal realm that he had created for Magic Arsenal. Bai Fan had the mysterious realm and Qing Shui had his slaughter realm. Wang Lin had his 18 layers of Hell Reincarnation realm, with the celestial sealing stamp as the earth, with the golden seals as the seal, with the Underworld River as the reincarnation cycle, and filling it with resentful aura to complete the 18 layers of hell. The deeper down the 18 layers, the stronger the soul's insides were. There were no soul fragments from the 15th to 18th layers, but there was one in the 14th layer. This soul fragment was covered in a blood mist and a monstrous resentment. He was the blood ancestor, who was killed by Wang Lin. More than 100 soul fragments of celestials killed by Wang Lin in the immortal graveyard were sealed in the 13th layer. They were letting out maddening roars, wanting to escape, but they were completely sealed. There were also the soul fragments of the Yarrow family cultivators that Wang Lin had killed, along with the soul fragments of all the corporeal young and above cultivators killed by Wang Lin. Magic Arsenal was a very tyrannical spell. It extracted the soul fragments of everything you killed from the reincarnation cycle and used them. Wang Lin stood up and stared at the 18 layers of hell in the sky. A vortex appeared between his eyebrows, and then his origin soul charged out and spat out essence origin energy. Endless black gas came out from the essence origin energy. This black gas was all the people killed by Wang Lin. As they touched the 18 layers of hell, they were all sealed inside. At the same time, Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding and the 1 billion soul flag flew out. He shook the flag, causing it to open, and the soul fragments charged out like crazy. There were a lot of soul fragments inside the 1 billion soul flag, and they all rushed into the 18 layers of hell. The resentment in the 18 layers of hell continued to increase as the soul fragments rushed inside. Their maddening screams would cause any mortal who heard them to pass out. Even a cultivator's mind would be shaken before these screams. They were a result of the grievance of the souls of the countless people that Wang Lin had killed. In there were Blood Ancestor, the Celestials, the Yarrow family members, and many other powerful cultivators. Because they were only soul fragments, they weren't as strong as before, but their power was not something ordinary cultivators could resist. There were also the countless soul fragments inside the 1 billion soul flag. With them, the 18 layers of hell were now worthy of their title. Inside the 1 billion soul flag, only the primary souls remained, and Wang Lin put it away. If it wasn't for the fact that this flag was a gift from Du Tian, he would have put the flag itself inside the celestial sealing stamp. As Wang Lin stood there, a trace of coldness flashed across his eyes and he shouted, "This is my 18 layers of hell reincarnation cycle." As his voice came out, the cries from the 18 layers of hell became even stronger. The screams quickly enveloped the entire planet. The first ones that weren't able to withstand it were the fierce beasts, and they quickly scattered. If it wasn't for Wang Lin controlling the screams, all of these fierce beasts would have immediately collapsed. The several cultivators that were stationed here became pale and their minds were shaken, so they quickly flew out from their rooms. They didn't want to stay for a moment longer. The big-headed boy gasped as he stared dumbfoundedly at the 18 hell celestial sealing stamp. Due to his cultivation level, he was able to immediately see that this treasure wasn't ordinary. Lei Ji's pupils shrank. Facing the 18 layers of hell, he felt fear from the bottom of his heart. Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding and 2 balls of light appeared in his hand. These were 2 origin souls. One of them was the origin soul of the Corpse Sex Resentment Hall Vice Hall Master, and the other was what the Vice Hall Master gave Wang Lin to trade for his life. After pondering for a bit, Wang Lin didn't put them into 18 layers of hell and put them back in his bag. These 2 early-stage Nirvana Scryer origin souls were very important for recovering cultivation. He kept them in case he needed to use them in the future. At this moment, he stood up, stared at the sky, formed a seal with his hand, and pointed at the celestial sealing stamp. It shrank and was swallowed by Wang Lin. "Let's go." Wang Lin was calm as he took a step and left the planet. Lei Ji and company quickly followed after him. At this moment, all of the western region was taken over by the All-Heaven cultivators. As large amounts of All-Heaven cultivators passed through the tunnel between the 2 systems, they took over the planets one by one. It was obvious that they already considered this place part of All-Heaven. As all of the western region was taken over, the shadow looming over all the powerful cultivators of All-Heaven became even stronger. There was not a single rank 7 cultivation planet in the western region, only rank 6 cultivation planets. All of this was very strange. However, there were no changes for a very long time, and while there were still doubts in their hearts, they started a second round of attacks under the order of the Thunder Celestial Temple. Their target this time was Northern Region. Groups of all-heaven cultivators quickly flew toward the northern region on rays of sword energy. As they passed, they created sound as if space itself was going to collapse. The sword energy emitted by tens of thousands of cultivators made the world change colors. The flying swords revealed the height of heaven and almost made the world collapse. Unknowingly, they gave off the feeling of being able to reverse time and split the heavens. The all-heaven cultivators were filled with killing intent as they left the cultivation planets and continued to move forward. Master Flamespark had a ball of flame under his feet and a group of cultivators around him. His expression was gloomy. When they were slaughtering their way into the Alliance star system, he felt a sense of crisis. When he tried to predict what was going to happen, he could only see dense bloodlight that prevented him from clearly seeing anything. They were forced to continue their attack on the northern region because they had been in the western region for too long. They couldn't just retreat without fighting, so even though he knew the Alliance had some sort of scheme, he was forced to push forward. Even if there is a scheme, this old man is not afraid. Moreover, the Alliance aren't the only ones with a hidden hand. I have also carefully planned out countermeasures to many of the possible schemes the Alliance could have come up with. There was a flash of coldness in Master Flamespark's eyes, and they were filled with killing intent. Large amounts of all-heaven cultivators rode on rays of sword energy as they flew through the western region and arrived in the northern region. As the large amount of all-heaven cultivators charged into the northern region, an ancient aura burst forth from one of the planets in the western region that was taken over by the all-heaven cultivators. This aura exploded like crazy, and in an instant, a destructive impact came from this cultivation planet. There were hundreds of cultivators living on this planet, and they all panicked to escape. As they escaped, what they saw became the last thing they saw. The entire cultivation planet shook extremely violently. It was as if the planet had finished its life cycle in an instant and it was filled with death aura. What was even more incredible was that this cultivation planet was shrinking. The planet shrank like crazy as if there was a powerful force compressing it. The crazy compression made it so the planet was only 10% of its original size. At this instant, a destructive aura came out like crazy and this planet suddenly collapsed. This collapse created a powerful and destructive wave that spread out like crazy. Those hundreds of cultivators didn't have time to dodge as their bodies were instantly destroyed by this destructive wave. Even their origin souls were destroyed under this destructive force. The resulting rumble was earth-shattering, the collapse of the planet was filled with the scent of blood, and all life on it had been extinguished. This was not something an ordinary cultivator could do. Only the most ruthless and inhuman cultivator would destroy a planet like this. Loud explodes echoed. As the destructive wave spread, a large amount of spatial rifts appeared in the space they passed by. There were so many cracks that it only took a moment for them to all connect together. All of the all-heaven cultivators within tens of thousands of kilometers that were affected by this shockwave immediately had their bodies and origin souls destroyed. At this instant, this wasn't the only planet that exploded. This happened to all of them. All of the cultivation planets in the western region collapsed like crazy and formed a crazy shockwave that filled the western region. This kind of big movement was something only the Cultivation Alliance would do. Since all you all-heaven cultivators came, then I'll let you all die in the western region. Ignoring the lives of all living things in the western region, they began a shocking plan to slaughter the all-heaven cultivators. The crazy collapse became even more intense in the western region. As the planets collapsed, the storm formed by the collapse swept across the region. Large amounts of spatial cracks appeared due to this storm, and in the end, they all linked together. The thunderous rumble echoed and the entire western region was like the end of the world. The large-scale collapse caused a lot of spatial cracks. Large amounts of rocks containing destructive power shot out randomly. It was a slaughter. Most of the all-heaven cultivators weren't even able to retaliate and were killed by his storm. As spatial crack increased in size, more and more cold wind came out and fused with the storm to form a giant vortex. This vortex was so large that it covered most of the western region. It cut off the all-heaven cultivators that had charged into the northern region from the tunnel back to the all-heaven star system. When the storm was about to dissipate, countless figures appeared and transfer arrays appeared one by one. Cultivators of the Cultivation Alliance stepped out of the arrays. Kill. Earth-shattering roars echoed across the stars. Master Flamespark's eyes were red. He had thought of everything, but he didn't think the Alliance would destroy the Western region and create this kind of impact. At the same time, rays of sword energy flew through the northern domain when the Alliance cultivators arrived. They charged at the panicking All-Heaven cultivators that were trying to escape. In the northern domain, a ripple appeared in the army of the Alliance. A black-robed old man walked out and his laughter echoed across the world as he stepped out. Master Flamespark, long time no see. Do you still remember Old Man Black Fiend Devil Saint? Maced Flamespark's eyes became bright red and his expression didn't reveal any reaction to the change. He calmly said, "So this was your plan? Very good. Let me show you my All-Heaven cultivator's spells." Master Flamespark raised his hand and pointed up. A large crack was silently ripped open. This crack was extremely large and was like a river that covered the sky. At the same time, a powerful pressure came out from it and 18 balls of blood more than 100 feet wide descended. Your Alliance star system dared to destroy the Western region, so how could my All-Heaven star system not react? Since you killed some people on my side, I'll kill some people on your side. Master Flamespark's voice was filled with confidence. Those 18 balls of blood descended and an oppressive aura covered the area. This oppression had no effect on the All-Heaven cultivators, and they all glowed red in response to it. However, for the Alliance cultivators that had charged over, their minds all trembled. At this moment, all the Alliance cultivators felt an unimaginable pressure, as if the entire world was crushing them from all sides. Their blood flowed rapidly through their bodies. It was as if all sounds aside from their pounding heartbeats were cut off. Even their visions blurred. The 18 balls of blood were made of blood gathered by the two families from ancient times over tens of thousands of years. The blood was slowly refined after many sacrifices over the countless years. It was one of the two family protection treasures they had. This object was very famous in the ancient cultivation world. It was named the 18 Lu Fu. Lu Fu was a cultivation mountain in ancient times. However, one night, the mountain mysteriously collapsed and all the cultivators in the mountain died the violent deaths of having all their blood drained. Their blood gathered at Mount Lu Fu and formed a ball of blood 100 feet wide. This was the origin of Lu Fu. After that, a lot of ancient cultivators came to study it. Although they couldn't understand the cause, they gained an understanding of the ball of blood. Thus the spell for the Lu Fu blood ball came to be. However, this ball of blood was too vicious and the rate of formation was not high. Although it had mysterious powers, it couldn't be mass refined. The power of the 18 Lu Fu was their pressure. One Lu Fu would give one layer of pressure, so 18 Lu Fu would create an unimaginable degree of pressure. In addition, if a cultivator merged some of their blood into the 18 Lu Fu, then not only would they not be pressured, their cultivation level would also increase for a short period of time. The Black Fiend Devil Saint's expression was gloomy and he was about to charge out to destroy the 18 Lu Fu. However, just at this moment, Blood God appeared from the void and blocked the Black Fiend Devil Saint with a laugh. Master Flamespark's face was expressionless while he pointed backward. This point seemed to be able to penetrate the void. It tore through the spatial cracks covering the western region and entered the tunnel connecting to the All-Heaven star system. In the All-Heaven star system, there were tens of thousands of cultivators with their cultivation activated. There was one object between them. This object was a piece of wood. However, this piece of wood was 100,000 feet long and 10,000 feet wide. Heaven-piercing wood. This was found by the Thunder Celestial Temple 30,000 years ago. Rumor had it that it was a celestial tree that supported the ancient celestial realm. Only the Thunder Celestial Realm was able to keep theirs relatively intact. The other three realms lost theirs during the collapse of the celestial realms. A powerful surge of celestial spiritual energy appeared. After the Thunder Celestial Temple found it, they hid it away. Now it was taken out as a powerful method of attack against the Alliance. The tens of thousands of cultivators that were surrounding this giant piece of wood shouted in unison. These tens of thousands of cultivators were mercilessly pushing this giant piece of wood forward. There were even old monsters, like the Seong family ancestor and the middle-aged man from the Gongsun family, at the back. With their help, this giant piece of wood moved toward the tunnel ahead with a thunderous rumble. This giant piece of wood had the power to pierce anything slowly gained speed. It accelerated until it formed a storm as it went through the tunnel and appeared in the western region of the Alliance star system. It was so fast that the whistling sound it created could shake one's mind. The power contained within it was unimaginable. The barrier created by the spatial rifts couldn't resist the force of this impact at all. As the endless rumbles echoed, large amounts of ripples spread in every direction. At the center of the ripple, the giant piece of wood charged through and forcibly opened a passage. A large amount of all heaven cultivators followed around and behind the giant piece of wood, charging into the Alliance filled with killing intent. The expressions of the Alliance cultivators that arrived through transfer arrays changed greatly. They wanted to dodge, but due to the impact of the giant piece of wood, they couldn't dodge at all. Even though they were very far, they were sucked in by the powerful storm formed by the giant piece of wood. There were some cultivators that were hit directly by the piece of wood. Their bodies and origin souls were destroyed, leaving behind a mist of blood. However, compared to the size of the wood, this blood was insignificant. The 18 Lu Fu was the first great treasure the All-Heaven cultivators had prepared, and this giant piece of wood was the second, but this still wasn't the end. The giant piece of wood opened the path through the barrier formed by the spatial cracks. Ripples spread across the barrier and a roar that shook the entire western region came from the tunnel to All-Heaven star system. This roar tore through the western region and violently shook the Alliance cultivators. Some of them even bled from their orifices due to the vibrations. An extreme sense of violence came from the tunnel. A giant cultivation planet appeared in the tunnel between the two systems. It was surrounded by white gas and was very strange. The moment it came out, the mist around the planet quickly withdrew until it all disappeared, then a crack appeared in the middle of the planet. The planet opened up and countless tentacles stretched out. This was the Moongazer serpent. The Moongazer serpent's eyes were bloodshot and were filled with endless anger, enough for it to go crazy. Its tentacles waved like crazy as it charged out. Roar. The Moongazer serpent's mouth opened, and along with its roar, a powerful impact shot out. This roar turned into a storm and shot forward. In an instant, those spatial cracks were pushed back like pieces of torn paper. However, as the roar closed in on the giant piece of wood, a barrier of yellow light appeared. It was like an eggshell that allowed the roar to pass alongside it without any resistance. The angry roar of the Moongazer serpent was so intense that it even caused space to collapse. The space before the giant piece of wood twisted and a white-robed old man was forced out in a somewhat sorry state. His face was extremely gloomy and his gaze seemed like it would penetrate space. When he saw the giant Moongazer serpent come out from the tunnel, he retreated without any hesitation, but just at that moment, the giant piece of wood arrived. The old man was one of the 4 saints, the heavenly Tao origin saint. He let out a sigh as he shook his head and retreated even faster. However, just as he started retreating, the Seong family ancestor and the Gongsun family's middle-aged man charged out from the giant piece of wood toward the white-robed old man. Fellow Alliance cultivator, why are you in such a rush to leave? The Seong family ancestor laughed as he waved his sleeves. A red wind quickly appeared and surrounded the surrounding 5,000 kilometers. This great battle began in the western and northern regions and quickly spread. The battle was fierce, and various magical treasures flashed across the battlefield. Ripples of spells spread and affected countless areas. During this intense slaughter, if any Alliance or All-Heaven cultivator was careless, they would immediately die. The angered Moongazer serpent seemed to be able to differentiate between Alliance and All-Heaven cultivators. It would rarely affect All-Heaven cultivators but often slaughtered Alliance cultivators. Due to this, the Alliance cultivators were at an immediate disadvantage. At this moment, Wang Lin was in the western region. Lei Ji's body, which was a lot smaller, only 30 feet tall, was opening the way. The big-headed boy was behind him. As for Ta Shan, he still had a cold expression as he observed his surrounding. Wang Lin's gaze was calm. Along the way, he had met several Alliance cultivators. Whenever they saw Wang Lin, their expressions changed due to Wang Lin's group's cultivation levels. They turned around and ran without any hesitation. However, there were several people that thought they were strong enough or thought they had enough people. They attacked Wang Lin's group after some hesitation. But all of them were directly killed by Wang Lin without any exception. The smell of blood covered their path through the western region. The further he went, the more alliance cultivators he met, but there weren't many that were willing to fight him. Wang Lin's body didn't give off any killing intent. However, whether it was Lei Ji, the big-headed boy, or Tarshan, all three of them were filled with killing intent. They charged forward like sharp swords leading the way. As they made their way, Wang Lin watched their surroundings. The familiar surroundings had all collapsed and spatial cracks would whistle by. All of this showed that the western region was now completely deserted. However, these cracks before Wang Lin were moved to the side by some mysterious force. If an old monster at the second step who was at the Nirvana cleanser stage saw this, they would be shocked. This was the sign of starting to control law. Although Nirvana Scryer cultivators comprehended law, comprehending and controlling were very different things. Controlling law was something only Nirvana cleanser cultivators could do. Wang Lin had not reached the Nirvana cleanser stage, but with the help of the heaven-defying bead, he had a sliver of aura similar to that of a Nirvana cleanser cultivator, though this aura was very faint. Just at this moment, a beautiful woman wearing purple was fleeing among the stars with a bitter smile. Her sword light was faint, as if she could fall at any time. Behind her was a group of alliance cultivators. Among them was a middle-aged man with a sneer on his face that was rapidly chasing after her. It's her. With Wang Lin's divine sense, he was able to immediately see the woman in the distance. Shi Zifeng bit her lower lip. Originally, she came to the Alliance star system with her family. However, she was affected by the massive collapse earlier and was thrown far away. This was how she was separated from her family. After she finally stabilized herself, what she saw was a hell-like slaughter. Shi Zifeng's beauty attracted the attention of the Alliance cultivators. Someone immediately came chasing after her. Shi Zifeng was very anxious as she escaped with her teeth clenched. However, due to the previous impact, she was injured. Adding on her rapid escape, this made her injuries worse. A middle-aged man had a sneer as he slapped his bag of holding and took out a golden needle. He threw the needle and it flew straight toward Shi Zifeng. This all-heaven female cultivator will be my 19th cultivation furnace. Haha, I've never had a taste of an all-heaven female before. It looks like I didn't come here vain. The middle-aged man laughed and the flying sword under his feet moved even faster. Seeing that the golden needle was about to pierce her back, Shi Zifeng immediately turned around and formed a seal. There was a flash of silver light that attempted to stop the golden needle. However, the golden needle was too strong. The moment it touched the silver light, Shi Zifeng felt a powerful impact, then she coughed out blood and was pushed back. Her face was pale without any trace of blood. As the middle-aged man laughed, he quickly closed in. However, just as he was about to grab Shi Zifeng, an extremely cold voice echoed. "Back off." These were two very simple words, but in the ears of the middle-aged man, it was as if tens of thousands of bolts of thunder had exploded at once and rumbled through his mind. The middle-aged man's cultivation level wasn't high, higher than Shi Zifeng's, but not by much. At this moment, as the middle-aged man's body trembled, he only felt a hum in his ear, and it was as if he was isolated from the world. All he could hear was his own heart rate rapidly accelerating. The sound that entered his ear was like a sharp sword that penetrated his body, and it was as if it contained a destructive power. It turned him pale and he immediately coughed out blood. He involuntarily retreated. At this moment, a monstrous wave was set off in the middle-aged man's heart and endless fear immediately submerged him. He clearly felt like he had lost control of his body. It was as if a will had entered his body through his ears and mercilessly controlled his body to retreat. It was as if he had to obey that will, and he couldn't raise the slightest resistance, or he would die without a grave. This was the first time the middle-aged man had felt this. Terrified, he couldn't care about anything else. Although he was rapidly retreating, he didn't dare to resist at all. That will seemed to have changed the law in the world, which caused the middle-aged man to cough out more blood. He wasn't the only one. The surrounding cultivators that were chasing Shi Zifeng were even worse off than the middle-aged man. The same will forced them to continue to retreat. It looked like a giant storm had formed before Shi Zifeng and blew them all back. While they retreated, popping sounds could be heard as cultivators whose bodies couldn't withstand the will died and their bodies collapsed. Large amounts of blood appeared, but it was really insignificant among the stars. Even their origin souls weren't able to escape and were disintegrated along with their bodies. Their souls weren't able to enter the reincarnation cycle and were forced out from the void. They turned into rays of black light that flew into Wang Lin's body and were sealed within the 18 layers of hell. Everything had happened so fast that Shi Zifeng was startled for a moment before her vision was completely captivated by the figure silently walking toward her. Wang Lin calmly looked at the several cultivators that were rapidly retreating. The words he had just spoken contained a hint of the law he had just gained enlightenment in. There were also the words that became law that were converted into a force of will. The middle-aged man's eyes revealed a look of aghast and shock. It was as if there was voice crying in his head that made him certain that this was one of the powerhouse of all heaven. However, he wasn't able to make a sound with his mouth, because his body collapsed during his constant retreat. This level of cultivator was really insignificant before Wang Lin, just like back in the demon spirit land, when the scattered demon could make Wang Lin's body collapse with a cold snort. The current Wang Lin had reached the level of the scattered demon from back then. The middle-aged man's origin soul flew out and quickly dissipated. Just as it was about to die, a feminine voice came from the void. "You are indeed worthy of being all heaven's thunder celestial, Shu Mu." The moment this feminine voice appeared, a person arrived from the distant stars. This person looked middle-aged and had an earth-yellow face. Behind him were countless black shadows that were like a long cloaks that spread out among the stars. The person that spoke was the six-fingered cultivator. His voice entered the void and then the middle-aged man's origin soul escaped Wang Lin's will. The origin soul immediately stopped dissipating and quickly escaped. More than half the origin soul had dissipated, and it was extremely weak. It could collapse at any moment. The middle-aged man's origin soul was filled with fear and he was about to flee. Wang Lin's expression was neutral as he casually waved his right hand. A gust of wind appeared before him and immediately turned into countless heavenly chops that fused into one. It chased after the escaping origin soul. The six-fingered cultivator revealed a strange smile and also pointed with his right hand. The countless shadows that formed the cloak behind him charged out toward Wang Lin's heavenly chop. The two of them began a battle of spells with the life of this origin soul as the goal. When the heavenly chop and the countless shadows collided next to the origin soul, they caused a heaven-shaking explosion. After Wang Lin gained a sliver of enlightenment in law, the power of the heavenly chop had increased explosively. After all, Wang Lin had only unconsciously used it and didn't understand law, so the true power of the heavenly chop couldn't be displayed. However, right now it was very different. The heavenly chop could chop all law. As it charged out, all the shadows that made contact with it immediately collapsed and dissipated. In almost the blink of an eye, all the shadows disappeared and the heavenly chop shot straight for the origin soul. The six-fingered cultivator's expression changed and he let out a cold snort before stepping out. His right hand formed a seal and the shadows behind him condensed. In an instant, they all fused into a small, black ball. An aura that could shake one's mind came from the small ball and shrouded the area. The ball flew out at a quick speed and went toward the heavenly chop. It seemed to be able to penetrate the void and instantly closed in on the heavenly chop. The six-fingered cultivator laughed and he waved his right hand. A powerful impact appeared near the origin soul. The origin soul was immediately swept back and pushed far away. In the blink of an eye, it was about to disappear among the stars. No one can kill someone who I, soul servant Ju Tian, want to save. Wang Lin's expression was neutral and he didn't even look at Ju Tian. He lifted his feet and took a step. Ripples appeared under his feet and then he disappeared. This scene startled Ju Tian, but then his pupils immediately shrank. In the distance, the origin soul was no longer confused and was filled with joy. Just as it rushed among the stars, Wang Lin calmly stepped out of thin air and his right hand formed a fist. He threw a punch and there was a loud bang followed by ripples spreading through space. Shatter. As Wang Lin spoke, the Origin Soul immediately trembled violently. The Origin Soul seemed to have turned into a person made of sand, and dissipated within the violent storm. Zhu Tian's eyes shined as he stared at Wang Lin. The strange light in his eyes became even stronger. He lifted his right hand and pointed at Shi Zifeng, who was watching all of this. Several shadows flew out from behind Zhu Tian and dashed toward Shi Zifeng. You want to save this woman, but I won't let you succeed. As Zhu Tian's feminine voice echoed, the shadows closed in on Shi Zifeng. Shi Zifeng's face turned pale and she quickly retreated. Zhu Tian had a smile on his face as he carefully observed Wang Lin's expression. However, he couldn't see any joy or anger on Wang Lin's face. From beginning to end, Wang Lin was as calm as water as he watched Zhu Tian's actions. There wasn't any change in Wang Lin's expression as he coldly looked at Zhu Tian and took a step. Zhu Tian's pupils shrank and he immediately retreated without hesitation. Ripples appeared next to Shi Zifeng as Wang Lin walked out and threw his fist. Those several shadows immediately collapsed. I don't care if you want to kill her, but not in front of me. Wang Lin's voice was flat, and when he finished speaking, he rushed toward Zhu Tian with eyes filled with killing intent. Zhu Tian sneered and his hands formed a seal and pointed at the void. Large amounts of shadows behind him condensed into a black axe before him. Zhu Tian grabbed it and mercilessly threw it. 10,000 soul devour. As Zhu Tian shouted, that giant axe charged straight for Wang Lin. Wang Lin stepped out and threw a punch. There was a loud rumble as the big axe immediately collapsed and turned into countless shadows. The shadows scattered and then charged at Wang Lin from all directions. Wang Lin's expression was neutral as he pointed up. Thunder was gathered from the void within 5,000 kilometers and instantly gathered here. Part 230. Thunderous rumbles echoed across the world. Bolts of thunder descended before Wang Lin, and those tens of thousands of illusory shadows all collapsed. Zhu Tian's eyes flashed as his hands formed a seal and he pointed to between his eyebrows. Black lines appeared as he shouted, "Soul, kill." The moment he said those two words, a black pattern seemed to come out from his face. A black ring immediately appeared above his head and spread like crazy. It spread too fast and closed in on Wang Lin's body in an instant. Wang Lin didn't even dodge, he closed in on Zhu Tian. The moment the black ring touched Wang Lin's body, it turned into countless thin threads and entered Wang Lin's body. However, before they could get deep inside, they all shattered with one shake from Wang Lin. Wang Lin's speed didn't slow down at all. He arrived before Zhu Tian and threw a punch. Zhu Tian's expression changed as he slapped his bag of holding while he retreated. A ball of purple light appeared in his hand and he immediately crushed it. The purple light immediately surrounded Zhu Tian. As popping sounds echoed, the purple light collapsed and Zhu Tian's body retreated even faster. As Zhu Tian retreated, Wang Lin took a step and merged with the world. When Wang Lin reappeared, he was next to Zhu Tian, and he kicked with his right foot. This kick was so fast that it set off a bang that seemed loud enough to shatter the stars. It landed on Zhu Tian's body in an instant. Zhu Tian's body collapsed immediately after the bang. It turned into a mist of blood, but laughter came from the void. Purple shadows immediately rushed out from the void toward Wang Lin. I, Zhu Tian, will take this body. As the feminine voice echoed, those purple shadows immediately entered Wang Lin's body like crazy and charged toward his origin soul. However, just as these purple shadows got near Wang Lin's origin soul opened its eyes. The ancient god leather armor gave off an ancient aura that fused with Wang Lin's origin soul. This formed an unimaginable backlash. The moment the purple shadows charged in to take over the origin soul, they collided with this backlash. There were miserable screams. It was as if those shadows had met their natural enemy and wanted to leave Wang Lin's body. However, just as they were about to charge out, Wang Lin's origin soul arrived. The ancient thunder dragon origin soul opened its mouth and inhaled. Some of the shadows weren't able to escape and were devoured by Wang Lin. The Wang Lin was currently surrounded by purple gas. More purple gas was charging out and condensing into an illusionary figure 100 feet from him. Let's use you to test the power of my spell. Wang Lin's right hand formed a seal and he calmly said, Magic Arsenal. A sliver of celestial origin energy came out from Wang Lin's celestial core and gathered in his right hand. It formed an orb of golden light that Wang Lin threw out. It was as if golden specks had filled the world. At this instant, the entire space itself trembled and the countless golden specks turned into illusory shadows. This was the first time Wang Lin had used Magic Arsenal. All those shadows were people killed by Wang Lin. They couldn't enter the reincarnation cycle and were imprisoned in the 18 layers of hell. Now that they appeared, an extremely powerful resentment aura filled the world. Every single person killed by Wang Lin was filled with heaven-shaking resentment. Zhu Tian looked at everything before him. His mind trembled and shock filled his eyes. Although those illusory figures couldn't pose a threat to Zhu Tian, a portion of them made him gasp. There was a person who had a gloomy expression and was surrounded by black mist. The figure sometimes revealed itself and gave off a powerful sense of resentment. There was a powerful fluctuation coming from this person. Nirvana Scryer Cultivator. Zhu Tian's expression became gloomy after he looked around. There were hundreds of celestial souls in the surroundings. The rich celestial spiritual energy and resentment combined could slaughter the heavens. The moment Zhu Tian saw the celestials, disbelief filled his eyes and he cried, These are souls of celestials. He had spent his life learning the Tao of Soul, so he was able to recognize them at a glance. There was also that Yarrow family soul that gave off rich killing intent. What kind of spell is this? It's too terrifying. It was able to imprison so many souls and didn't allow them to enter the reincarnation cycle. This is clearly a demonic spell. This scene shocked Zhu Tian's mind and made his shock reach a peak. However, what happened after was what really made him lose his wits. He heard a beast-like roar come from the countless shadows. All the shadows seemed to be extremely afraid of it and opened up a path. A red mist charged out, and no shadow dared to block its path. As the red mist churned, it revealed one person. This person looked middle-aged, he had a head of red hair, and his expression was ferocious. An indescribable sense of killing intent was spreading from his body as if he was going to reverse the heavens. The moment this red-haired person appeared, Zhu Tian was startled for a moment. Then he felt an unimaginable amount of fear and terror that he had never felt before. Planet Tian Yun's blood ancestor. Zhu Tian's scalp went numb and he immediately retreated without any hesitation. He discarded any thought of killing Shu Mu. It was not that he didn't want to kill, but he couldn't. Although he was at the mid-stage of Nirvana Scryer, this Shu Mu was too strange. Due to his insight, he immediately knew that one had to kill the person themselves in order to imprison the soul for their own use. And he also knew the blood ancestor, and due to this shock, his heart immediately became timid. Blood ancestor is a Nirvana cleanser cultivator, but he was killed by Shu Mu. I can't resist this person at all, I must escape. Wang Lin pointed at Zhu Tian and calmly said, Pull this person into the 18 layers of hell. After he spoke, frenzied roars came out from the souls. In particular, the blood ancestor was surrounded by a monstrous red mist and immediately closed in on Zhu Tian. Zhu Tian's face turned pale and he immediately retreated. However, at this moment, the Yarrow family member and the hundreds of celestials surrounded him. They completely sealed off Zhu Tian's path of retreat. There were countless soul fragments surrounding the outer rim. They were all letting out waves of cries. Zhu Tian's eyes were almost filled with madness. He had spent his life learning the Tao of Souls, and at this moment, he let out a roar and his hands formed a seal. He pointed at his chest and his body immediately collapsed. Countless illusory shadows fled in all directions. Since Zhu Tian's soul Tao had almost reached completion, his body no longer existed. Even his origin soul had been fused with his soul. Only by doing this could he truly display his killing moves. Even if someone had a higher cultivation level than him, if they weren't careful, they would fall to his sneak attacks. However, he complained in his heart. Originally, he wanted to possess Wang Lin, but due to the ancient god leather armor, he was repelled and injured slightly. Normally, this wouldn't be an issue, But he didn't expect Wang Lin's origin soul to be so fierce and directly devour his soul. As a result, he had to retreat, but just as he left Wang Lin's body and was about to use a spell, he saw a spell that made him lose his wit. At this moment, his heart was anxious, and he split into countless pieces and wanted to flee. However, the blood ancestor grinned and was surrounded by blood mist. He, along with the hundreds of celestials and the Yarrow family member, charged out. There were waves of miserable screams, and the blood ancestor seemed to become a primal beast as he grabbed a large amount of Ju Tian's shadows and dragged them into the mist. The surrounding hundreds of celestials did the same. In almost an instant, all of Ju Tian's shadows were captured. None was able to escape. Cold wind blew across the stars and countless souls wandered the area. The resentment in the area was monstrous. Wang Lin was calmly observing from the side. He had gained some understanding of Magic Arsenal's power. He raised his right hand and pointed up. A giant vortex appeared and all the souls were sucked into it. The only one different was the blood ancestor. His eyes flashed red and he charged directly at Wang Lin after letting out a roar. There was a flash of killing intent in Wang Lin's eyes as his right hand formed a fist and he threw a punch. There was loud bang and the blood ancestor's origin soul paused for a moment. Using this pause, Wang Lin used more celestial origin energy to make the vortex speed up, increasing its suction force. The blood ancestor's soul let out an unwilling cry as he was sucked back in. The vortex in the stars slowly disappeared before turning back into a ray of light and being swallowed by Wang Lin. In the 18 layers of hell, there was now an extra soul in the 13th layer. Although this soul fragment was on the 13th layer, it was at the peak of 13th layer. He was Ju Tian. After killing Ju Tian, Wang Lin calmly looked at Shi Zifeng before withdrawing his gaze and going on his way. Ta Shan followed behind, and the big-headed boy no longer found any of this strange. As for Lei Ji, he quickly followed Wang Lin into the distant stars. As Shi Zifeng pondered, she also followed. As they moved, Wang Lin began to ponder. The battle between the Alliance and All Heaven has reached a high point. This is the moment to rack up some achievements to appease Master Flamespark's heart. I need to obtain more prestige among the All Heaven cultivators. That way, if I encounter the All-Seer or if Tuor Sen escapes from the land of the ancient god, then Master Flamespark will have to help. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he made up his mind. However, he wasn't optimistic about All Heaven's offensive against the Alliance. After pondering for a bit, Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding and a small flag appeared. There was a flying tiger pattern on this flag. After Wang Lin raised it, the flying tiger rushed out and let out a roar that shook the stars. Activating the flying tiger flag and releasing the flying tiger meant Wang Lin had announced his own presence. As he moved, dozens of rays of sword energy appeared in the distance a short moment later. There were two groups fighting, and it was obvious the All Heaven side was losing. The other side was filled with killing intent and continued to cast spells. It only took a few breaths of time for an All Heaven cultivator to die. These 7 or 8 All Heaven cultivators' eyes were filled with despair. They were injured by the shockwave earlier and were too exhausted to escape. Just at this moment, a tiger's roar came from the distance and a powerful divine sense spread out. The All Heaven cultivators were startled, then they looked back and revealed indescribable joy. Thunder Celestial Shu Mu. It is Thunder Celestial Shu Mu. The Alliance cultivators had received information from their elders. One of the old men had apparently seen information about Shu Mu. His expression changed and a flash of coldness appeared in his eyes. He retreated without hesitation and shouted, "This Shu Mu is a Nirvana Scryer cultivator. We are no match. Quickly, retreat." In another direction, 3 cultivators were fighting, and it was a stalemate. All 3 were illusory yin cultivators, but if one looked closer, one would see 2 All Heaven cultivators fighting 1 Alliance cultivator. The Alliance cultivator was very ruthless, and he was able to remain very calm even while fighting 1 vs 2. Just at this moment, a tiger's roar came from the distance. One of the All Heaven cultivators cautiously spread out his divine sense backwards and was immediately startled. Shu Mu. Not only did he know Shu Mu, but he was someone Wang Lin had saved in the Thunder Celestial realm. The Alliance cultivator that was battling them was startled. The name Shu Mu was familiar, and after pondering for a bit, his expression changed greatly. The Alliance had sent information about the All-Heaven cultivators to his sect. They separated the All-Heaven cultivators into 7 levels. Level 1 was the weakest, and Level 7 was the strongest. He remembered that this Shu Mu was at Level 5. He retreated without any hesitation. Along the way, Wang Lin encountered a large number of cultivators. When the All-Heaven cultivators saw Wang Lin and the flying tiger, they quickly approached. Waves of greetings, thunder celestial, came from the cultivators who came toward Wang Lin. In their eyes, Wang Lin was a bright beacon during their moment of confusion. The collapse of the Western region had sent a vast majority of the All-Heaven cultivators into panic. There were a lot of deaths, and those who survived were scattered. At the same time, the appearance of the Alliance cultivators made the situation worse for the All-Heaven cultivators. Right now, Wang Lin's flying tiger flag was the anchor for their heart. The roars coming from the flying tiger made the All-Heaven cultivators' minds tremble. Wang Lin's attitude also changed from before. If he encountered 2 sides fighting, he would immediately attack. A large amount of All-Heaven cultivators had gathered around Wang Lin. These people formed a very powerful force. Most of the time, Wang Lin didn't even need to personally act. The All-Heaven cultivators following him would charge out and destroy the enemy. More and more All-Heaven cultivators gradually gathered around Wang Lin. The sword energies under their feet made them look like a giant sword stabbing into the Western region. Wang Lin's group of cultivators wasn't the only group in the Western region. The Thunder Celestial Temple Messengers, the other 108 Celestial, and some cultivation families were doing the same. However, Wang Lin's team of cultivators had the most people. As he moved forward, more people constantly joined, until there were hundreds of rays of sword energy flying through space. The sound of the flying swords and the roar of the flying tiger continued to spread. Wang Lin's reputation quickly reached a certain height. Just as the group of cultivators with Wang Lin charged into the center of the Western region, the space suddenly began to shake mysteriously. Ripples were rushing over from the distance like crazy. There was an aura that shook one's mind within the ripples. Even the sword lights under the feet of the cultivators around Wang Lin became unstable. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed and he spread out his divine sense. Even with his mental strength, he couldn't help but be startled. Bursts of loud rumbles echoed. In the distance, a 100,000 feet long and 10,000 feet wide giant piece of wood carrying a force that could shake any normal cultivator charged forward with unimaginable force. Countless All-Heaven cultivators were surrounding this giant piece of wood. They gave off powerful killing intent. What shocked Wang Lin was the rich smell of blood that he could clearly feel even from this far away. It was obvious that countless people had died to the impact of this giant piece of wood. Wang Lin had never seen this giant piece of wood before. He only took a look at it, but he could feel an unimaginable shock. He clearly knew that if he was hit by the giant piece of wood, he would immediately be seriously injured. If he was just a bit careless, he could even die, unless he knew in advance and escaped by merging with the world. Although this giant piece of wood could cause Wang Lin's mind to tremble, it wouldn't have startled him. What really startled Wang Lin was the thing behind the giant piece of wood. Moongazer serpent. The Moongazer serpent's giant body was like a cultivation planet, and its countless tentacles were swaying around it. Its constant angry roars echoed among the stars. The moment Wang Lin saw the Moongazer serpent, his body trembled. This tremble came from his ancient god body. The shaking from his original body made Wang Lin's eyes lit up. The ancient god stars between his eyebrows flickered. He took a deep breath and suppressed this trembling, and the ancient god stars no longer flashed. Staring at the Moongazer serpent with countless swaying tentacles in the distance, Wang Lin was extremely shocked. Back then, I borrowed the Moongazer serpent to kill the Yarrow family and hid inside its body. I thought that someone in all heaven knew something about the Moongazer serpent. What kind of person could capture the Moongazer serpent and send into the Alliance as a weapon? Could it be him? Wang Lin gasped and thought of the figure he had seen twice. The first time was during the battle between Qing Shui and Blood God. The second time was during the 108 celestial bestowments, where he tore open the passage between the two star systems. At this moment, the whistling sound of the giant piece of wood before the moongazer serpent became louder and louder. As the ripples closed in, the cultivators behind Wang Lin began to cheer. At the same time, these cultivators immediately flew forward. Wang Lin hesitated for a bit before moving forward and charging toward the giant piece of wood. This giant piece of wood was too large even from far away. When they closed in, they felt its powerful impact along with its majestic pressure. Countless cultivators stepped on various treasures and followed the giant piece of wood. There were also cultivators on the giant piece of wood. However, not many were standing on it. There weren't even 100 cultivators on the wood. The two that stood at the front of those cultivators on the giant piece of wood were the Zhong family ancestor, Li Yunzi, and the Shengong family ancestor. The two of them stood at the front of the giant piece of wood. Their clothes moved without any wind, their eyes were like lightning, and their gazes were cold. Behind them were the rest of the cultivators. Most of them were the 108 celestials, but there were also some Wang Lin had not seen before. However, from the fluctuations of their origin souls, Wang Lin could see that these people were not weak. They were at the peak of the corporeal yang stage. There were 10 people at the Nirvana Scrya stage. In addition to these 10 people, there were 3 more people that caught Wang Lin's attention. One of them was sitting on the right side of the giant piece of wood. He was wearing a black robe and had white hair. There were several scars on his face that were extremely strange. They weren't static, they seemed to subtly move. Just one glance at them was enough to make someone gasp. The moment Wang Lin's gaze landed on the old man's eyes lit up and he looked at Wang Lin. He revealed a smile filled with cold intent. Another person that caught Wang Lin's attention was a woman. This woman was graceful, pretty as a spring peach, and pure like the autumn chrysanthemum. She was about 30 years old, her eyes were filled with spirit, and her beautiful nose was straight. She had a small indent on her cheek, her skin was white, and her eyes contained a hint of the ocean's blue. She was standing on the giant piece of wood and was wearing a light green palace dress with a thin layer of golden silk. Her wide clothes had purple pattern on them and her 3,000 strands of black hair were simply hanging behind her head, with some around her neck. There was a small red gem at the center of her forehead that embellished her look just right. She was very beautiful. Without any makeup, her skin glowed and was as white as snow. It gave off a creamy color and was like a delicate flower. Maybe it was due to the giant piece of wood moving too fast, but there was some wind that caused her thin silk to flow in the air. It made her look like a fairy. After seeing Wang Lin's gaze, she gracefully smiled at Wang Lin. However, this smile contained a sense of nobility, as if no one could reach her. The last person was a youth. He had a white shirt and was surrounded by 3 bamboo flutes that gave off strange flute sounds. From a distance, the sound of the flute seemed to turn corporeal and formed an illusion around the youth. It was easy for one to lose their heart inside this illusion. The youth didn't even care about Wang Lin's gaze at all. He focused on cultivating with his eyes closed and was filled with arrogance. The reason these 3 people had caught Wang Lin's attention was because Wang Lin couldn't see through their cultivation. As Wang Lin observed the people on the piece of wood, the cultivators on the piece of wood also looked at Wang Lin. Given Wang Lin's reputation in the All-Heaven star system, it didn't take long for them to recognize Wang Lin. Not to mention there was also the roar of the flying tiger behind him. They followed the giant piece of wood, and along the way, they saw some All-Heaven cultivators. However, they were only a few dozen people at most, and they were in extremely sorry states. At this moment, the team Wang Lin had gathered was hundreds of people large. This caused all the cultivators around the giant piece of wood to look at Wang Lin. It was obvious that it was due to Shu Mu's presence that there were so many cultivators here. Thunder Celestial Shu Mu. He was Shu Mu, the hero of the Celestial Bestowment competition. Even planet Dong Lin's Shu Ting was beaten, and Shu Mu became the Thunder Celestial. I just don't know if Shu Mu is qualified to step onto the giant wood. Many gazes fell on Wang Lin. Any of them hadn't seen Wang Lin, so their impressions were only from what they had seen of the competition in the sound transmission sound their families had. Wang Lin's expression didn't change at all from so many people watching him. He was very calm. "Shu Mu, come to this old man." Li Yunzi naturally saw Wang Lin. The coldness on his face melted a bit and he revealed a smile. Wang Lin nodded and charged toward the giant wood. The impact from the giant wood created a great deal of resistance, and Wang Lin felt like he was in mud. After realizing this, his expression was calm and the origin energy in his body slowed down until it was almost motionless. Then, at the next instant, it exploded. It went from being still to max in an instant. This change caused a powerful momentum to explode form Wang Lin's body. It also caused a rumble around him that could collapse the heavens. Boom! As the violent sound echoed, the space before Wang Lin suddenly whisked. Everything before him quickly collapsed as he calmly walked forward. Wang Lin arrived near the roaring wood and stepped onto it without any resistance. At this instant, all the eyes of all the cultivators around the giant wood narrowed. Although they all knew how fierce Wang Lin was, personally witnessing it had shocked them. Wang Lin didn't know that stepping on the giant wood represented an extremely high status. As long as one believed they were qualified, they could attempt to step onto the giant wood. However, very few people were able to step onto the giant wood. Even most of the people on the giant wood had used magic treasures along with spells to barely be able to step on after painstaking effort. Even so, none of the surrounding cultivators dared to underestimate those people. Anyone who could step on the giant wood was strong. However, a huge wave was set off in the hearts of the surrounding tens of thousands of cultivators when Wang Lin stepped onto the giant wood. Wang Lin was able to just casually step onto the giant wood without any effort at all. From what they had seen, aside from Li Yunzi and the Shengong family ancestor, only 3 others were able to step onto the giant wood so easily. Wang Lin was the 4th person. Thunder Celestial Shu Mu, indeed worthy of the fame. At that instant, similar thoughts appeared in the surrounding cultivators. The people on the giant wood all looked at Wang Lin. All these gazes were different. Some of them were part of the celestial bestowment, so they already admired Wang Lin. As for the people who hadn't met Wang Lin, their minds were shaken and they finally understood Wang Lin's fierceness. The youth with 3 bamboo flutes suddenly opened his eyes and carefully looked at Wang Lin. He nodded but didn't speak. The woman in the palace dress smiled even more. As for the old man in black, the way he looked at Wang Lin changed slightly. The 3 of them had high cultivation levels. They were at the late stage of Nirvana Scrya, so they had better vision than everyone else. They could tell at a glance that what Wang Lin did was extraordinary. This explosion of power wasn't only origin energy, there was also a hint of law. The 3 of them clearly saw this point and placed more importance on Wang Lin. Although his cultivation was weaker than them, but they considered him on the same level. After all, not many Nirvana Scrya cultivators comprehend law. Strength rules supreme in the cultivation world. If you want recognition of others, then you must reach the same level as them. Standing beside Li Yunzi, Wang Lin respectfully said, "Shu Mu greets Senior Li Yunzi." After he spoke, he turned around and clasped his hands at the Shengong family ancestor. Li Yunzi faintly smiled. Just as he was about to speak, his expression changed. Behind the giant wood, the moongazer serpent with countless swaying tentacles suddenly began to roar as if it had gone crazy. Its eyes alternated between confusion and clarity as it stared at Wang Lin on the giant wood. Its roars became even stronger. The powerful sound waves echoed, causing the expressions of the cultivators around the giant wood to change greatly and their minds to tremble. Wang Lin turned around and coldly looked at the moongazer serpent. Wang Lin wasn't surprised that the moongazer serpent recognized him. He understood the moongazer serpent very well, that it had a strong memory of people who had made it mad. It obviously remembered Wang Lin, who had provoked it twice. As it raged, it was about to charge out. The tentacles around it extended like crazy toward the giant wood. Li Yunzi frowned and his right hand reached toward the void. A rift opened up and a green jade flew out. This jade was very ordinary, there was nothing abnormal about it. Li Yunzi grabbed it and threw it at the moongazer serpent. It was so fast that it closed in on the moongazer serpent in an instant. The jade collapsed and a thunderous voice echoed. "Zun Yun go!" This sound was very strange and extremely complex. No surrounding cultivator could understanding it. But Wang Lin's heart was shocked, as this was the language of the ancient gods. After understanding the meaning behind it, even with Wang Lin's mental strength, his expression couldn't help but change. Continue ahead and destroy the realm under the rain, celestial realm. I'll give you a body. Help you escape. This was the information expressed in the ancient god language. The confusion in the moongazer serpent was replaced by clarity, and the roar slowly subsided. It actually charged ahead of the giant wood. From a distance, the moongazer serpent's giant body and its countless swaying tentacles looked like the waste clouds that shrouded the stars, and it was no less imposing than the giant wood. Li Yunzi looked at Wang Lin. He felt a hint of suspicion after seeing Wang Lin's change in expression when the sound came from the jade. Wang Lin had cultivated for thousands of years and was extremely cunning. He wouldn't let anything escape, so he let out a wry smile and said, "I didn't expect that beast to hold such a grudge. I just borrowed it to kill the Yarrow family, and yet it still remembered me when it saw me." Li Yunzi nodded and said, "After this battle has ended, don't forget to come to me to see the remaining battle scrolls." With a respectful expression, Wang Lin said, "Junior knows." The Shengong family ancestor had not spoken until now, when he suddenly said, "Shu Mu, take out Shengong Hu's Dao." Wang Lin silently pondered. A moment later, without hesitation, he touched between his eyebrows and Shengong Hu's Dao flew out. The Shengong family ancestor grabbed it and looked at it before he put it away. He no longer paid any attention to Wang Lin but instead looked ahead. The moongazer serpent opened the path at an extremely fast pace. Its countless tentacles spread out and wrapped any alliance cultivator it encountered. The cultivators that were caught would scream and their bodies would wither until they became mummies. Then the all-heaven cultivators would go to these mummified cultivators to take their bags of holding and treasures. The giant would followed closely after the moongazer serpent toward the northern region. The moongazer serpent and giant wood were extremely fast, far faster than cultivators' treasures. Their speed was comparable to teleportation. They created constant sonic booms as they whistled through space. At this moment, a giant war began in the northern region. Originally, the Alliance cultivators, who were led by one of the four saints, Black Fiend Devil Saint, held great advantage. Destroying the western region had killed a large amount of all-heaven cultivators and also cut off their retreat. This caused the all-heaven army that charged into the northern region to have no backup. As a result, the Alliance held the highest chance of winning in the first big battle between the two star systems. However, Master Flamespark's counterattack and the 18 Lu Fu immediately reversed the situation in the northern region. The Alliance cultivators were suppressed by the 18 Lu Fu. This wasn't even the biggest problem. The biggest problem was that the isolation of the all-heaven cultivators was broken by the giant wood. As a result, the all-heaven cultivators were no longer isolated. They only needed to last until backup arrived, then the all-heaven side would hold the absolute advantage. Black Fiend Devil Saint's expression was gloomy. How could he let Master Flamespark do as he wished? However, Blood God was someone with a very high cultivation level. As the two fought, the collisions of their spells were earth-shattering and the rumbles echoed across the stars. This created a large amount of ripples. Any cultivators affected would immediately die. Fellow cultivator, don't wait for me to make a fool of myself, just attack. As Black Fiend Devil Saint Riley smiled, he waved his right hand. Large amounts of fishy-smelling wind appeared. As his hands moved, the fishy wind turned into a giant whale before his body. The giant whale opened its mouth and mercilessly inhaled. The origin energy in the world was sucked into the giant whale formed by Black Fiend Devil Saint like crazy and then attacked Blood God. At the same time, a pillar of purple light descended from above. There was no end to this pillar, and it seemed to have appeared out of thin air. A laugh came from the pillar of light and a person walked out. This person was middle-aged and wore a yellow robe. He looked handsome, and as he came out, two dragon illusions circled around his body and roared. "Master Flamespark, I have known your name for a long time. This old man is one of the new saints of the Alliance, Cloud Dragon Demon Saint." Master Flamespark's eyes lit up, but he didn't attack. However, The ancestors of the cultivation families from ancient times moved. All three of them charged out toward the Cloud Dragon Demon Saint. The four saints of the Cultivation Alliance are all at the mid-stage of Nirvana Shatara. Blood God's cultivation is undetermined, and he is able to battle one on his own. The other three fellow cultivators are only at the early stage of Nirvana Shatara, so they must join forces to barely hold on. However, these people aren't the most powerful people in this battle. Master Flamespark's eyes lit up, but he didn't look at the yellow-robed Cloud Dragon Demon Saint. Instead, he stared at the void before him and calmly said, "The Alliance's four saints never move alone. Jixiantian, why do you still hide yourself?" As Master Flamespark spoke, he moved forward and appeared next to the 18 Lu Fu. Then his two fingers mercilessly pointed forward. A burst of sharp laughter echoed across the stars. Countless cracks appeared where Master Flamespark pointed at, and a hand as white as jade came out. This dazzling palm collided with Master Flamespark's fingers. Bang! The entire northern region shook and killing intent flashed across Master Flamespark's eyes. He quickly retreated several steps. Another figure was also knocked back from the crack, and this figure looked like a woman. As this person retreated, they immediately screamed, "Master Flamespark, you still have the guts to return." This voice was too sharp and harsh. It also contained unimaginable origin energy fluctuations. As the voice echoed, the All-Heaven cultivators all trembled. Some of them coughed out blood as their origin energy left their bodies, and they immediately died. Even one of the 18 Lu Fu suddenly collapsed under this sharp scream. Endless origin energy from the world came from the collapsed cultivators and even from the collapsed Lu Fu and entered the woman-like figure. "Jixiantian, I haven't seen you for many years. You're still as effeminate as ever." Master Flamespark's eyes were calm and he waved his right hand. Endless flames immediately surrounded the area, and as they spread, all the All-Heaven cultivators were pushed more than 5,000 kilometers away. Although it was 5,000 kilometers, it was still within the range of the Lu Fu. Just like this, the Great War began. Large amounts of Alliance and All-Heaven cultivators began their life and death battles. This was a chaotic battle. If one was slightly careless, their body would collapse and their origin soul would be extinguished. Originally, the All-Heaven cultivators were no match for the Alliance cultivators. After all, one side was recovering from shock and the other side was prepared. However, under the effect of the Lu Fu, the situation was immediately balanced. As a result, it was difficult to see who was going to win. However, on a small scale, the Alliance held the advantage. Bursts of magic treasures filled the area. In the chaotic battle, both sides had casualties. In the distance, an Alliance cultivator coughed out blood and retreated. But before he even retreated 100 feet, his chest was pierced by a random flying sword. Then his origin soul flew out and was immediately affected by the ripples of a spell, causing his origin soul to collapse. 3 All-Heaven cultivators' eyes were red as they activated their cultivation to the max to control magic treasures. Just as they were using a spell, a ray of light penetrated the 3 of them and they died one by one. The ray of light turned into a person, and he had a gloomy expression. Just as he was about to continue after licking his lips, there was a flash of bloodlight. He let out a scream and then his whole body turned into blood. It was Blood God and the Black Fiend Devil Saint passing by during their battle. Every time someone died, the blood would be immediately sucked away by the 17 Lu Fu. Some of the origin souls were also sucked in by the 17 Lu Fu because they were too damaged. Cultivators were dying at every moment. The two sides had tens of thousands of cultivators gathered here. This battle could be described as earth-shattering, and large amounts of blood were sucked in by the Lu Fu. Endless flashes of magic treasure light flashed by and endless roars coupled with mournful voices filled the area. This had become a land of death. Large amounts of blood and origin souls were absorbed by the 17 Lu Fu, making them even more demoic. As the battle became even more fierce, a thunderous rumble echoed and countless cracks appeared. Even the cold wind from the cracks wasn't able to put out this heated war. Instead, it made this chaotic battle even more intense. At the center of the battlefield, Master Flamespark's flame was monstrous, and from afar, It seemed to light up half of the area. Opposite of him, Jixiantian gave off an endless chill that created cracking sounds. They weren't loud, but everyone in the surrounding battlefield could clearly hear them. Along with these endless crackling sounds, countless glacier appeared. They were extremely imposing and shot straight up. Jixiantian was surrounded by countless glacier that were like sharp thorns pointed at the sky and faced off against Master Flamespark. Master Flamespark, we let you escape in the battle tens of thousands of years ago. Today, without Zhongshuanzi, I'll kill you here and now. Jixiantian's sharp voice was like an icy blade. It was filled with endless chill and killing intent. This Jixiantian looked like a very enchanting woman. However, if one looked closer, one would find that this person's chest was flat, and although small, his Adam's apple was there. He was apparently a man. Master Flamespark's eyes were calm as he raised his right hand and reached out toward the void. The world's origin energy gathered like crazy and formed a ball of white flame in his hand. He looked at Jixiantian and slowly said, "When I left, I said that if there was a day I come back, I'll make the Cultivation Alliance extinct. Who cares if blood fills the sky after I die?" At this moment in the western region, with the Moongazer serpent in front and the giant wood behind it, they closed in on the northern region. On the giant wood, Wang Lin looked ahead. There were flashes of uncertainty in Wang Lin's eyes, especially when he looked at the Moongazer serpent. Ancient godchild, there was an almost indiscernible flash of cold light in Wang Lin's eyes. This video will end here.